Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome sis. My name is Yap, and as you guys could see, I'm here with the bomb updated client soft glam makeup tutorial. Now before we hop into the tutorial, I just wanted to show you guys this bomb ring light that I used for this video. It was sent to me by a company named NCC. This ring light has such great features. It gets so tall. It has great lighting and it's travel friendly. If you want more information, check out the link in my description box, but I highly recommend this. Great price and it ships really fast. So if you're interested, you should definitely go check them out. But now let's get into this tutorial. So first things first, I'm just going to prime her lid with the PLOUISE eyeshadow base in RUMOUR 2 and the C467 brush from Crown Brushes. And if you're curious about how I did her brows, you can just check out my very bomb in-depth client eyebrow tutorial. I'll leave the link to that in the description box below. And now I'm just going to pat the primer in with the Real Techniques Expert Concealer Brush. As y'all know, all the products will be on the screen, but I'm just patting that into place and making sure that it's really smooth to prep for the eyeshadow. So the first step to doing my soft glams is just starting off with a base color. Now when I do soft glams, I always start off with a nice soft brown. So I'm just taking that brown color from the Morphe 3502 palette on this beautiful Real Techniques brush. I put the name of the brush on the screen and I'm just patting that into place in the shape that I want it to go. I usually go for like the half moon type of shape, you know, just putting the color in and above her crease. And I'm just patting that on first and then blending it out. I pat it on first to really get that high color payoff, and then I blend it out. With a soft glam, it's really a soft cut crease, so you want to make sure that there's no harsh lines. Everything needs to be very soft. So now that we have the base color on, I'm just going to add a little bit of depth using these two colors from the Morphe 3502 palette, and I'm just going to put that on the outer corner and then slowly work it into the inner part of the eye, still remaining on the crease, and just blending that in with a very light hand because we don't want it to be too harsh. Now I'm taking this slightly deeper brown and putting that on the outer edge slightly and just working that in, making sure everything is blended out nicely. And then I'm going to take this clean Morphe M506 brush just to make sure that everything is fully blended out around the edges of the eyeshadow. Now I'm going to clean it up with a little bit of that primer on the Crown C467 brush, and this just ensures that the eyeshadow looks very clean and sharp and neat. So I'm going to take some of that PLOUISE primer again on the same C467 brush from Crown Brushes, and I'm just putting a little bit of primer on her eye. I'm putting it on very randomly. This doesn't have to be neat because as you can see, I'm going to blend it out right now. Now I'm blending it out in like a cut crease shape, kind of covering her whole lid, but I'm not worried about making that like distinctive harsh line that makes cut creases because this is a soft glam, so it's really a soft cut crease that we're doing. So I'm getting rid of any harsh lines and I'm just blending that out on the eye just to prep for this white eyeshadow that I am now placing. And this is that white eyeshadow from the Juvia's Place Warrior 2 palette. I'm using a random fluffy eyeshadow brush and I'm just packing that on because when you're working with matte eyeshadows, you always pack the color on, you never smudge it. And then I'm gonna go over it with the eyeshadow brush that we used earlier to pack on the brown colors, just so that everything is nice and blended together and it all looks like one. And then I put a little bit of shimmer on the eye because I'm extra. That's how I do my cut creases personally. And now I'm adding a wing. A lot of people would say, oh, you know, that's not a soft glam, blah blah blah. This is how I do my soft glams, how I do my clients. I am not one of those natural type of gals, so if you thought this is that, then sis, I don't know what to tell you, but yeah, this is how I do my soft glams. I'm very extra and all my clients love it, and this video was highly requested. So if you're one of the natural girls, I don't know what to tell you, but I still hope you enjoyed this video. And as you can see, I'm putting a little bit of black liner on her lash extension. This is a trick that I do because sometimes you don't want to put mascara on the lash extensions, but they have that stupid white eyeshadow and it's so hard to get rid of. So I use eyeliner to get rid of all that white eyeshadow so that the lashes blend in well, her lash extensions blend in with the falsies. And then I just put a little bit of lash glue on her lid just to prep for the lashes. And I also put some highlight from Artist Couture and CONCEITED on her brow bone because, once again, I'm extra. And now I'm just putting on some lashes, making sure that it's very close to her lash line so that it blends in perfectly with her lash extensions. And I will leave that in the description box as well. Now, if I notice it, I know for a fact y'all notice it. Y'all can see how the eyeliner is a little bit uneven. So I'm just going to make that even, and I'm just going to take off a little bit of eyeliner from her left side. And I'm just going to use a little bit of primer to make that even on the Crown C467 brush, just taking a little bit off just so that the eyeliner is even. Because if that was bothering me, I know for a fact that was bothering you. But you know, every little mistake could be fixed in makeup. But now we're over the eyes and we're on to the face. First of all, can we get into her gorgeous skin, her hair? She is so fire. But anyways, I'm priming the skin with some Pond's very dry to dry face moisturizing cream, and her skin was oily, I believe, but I use this on everybody because no matter the skin type, your skin needs to be rejuvenated and moisturized. You feel me? So I'm just moisturizing her face with that, and I'm using a foundation brush to really get the product in there and blend it out nicely. And then I'm just putting a little bit of concealer around her brows just to redefine them a little more, and I'm gonna blend that out. I used the e.l.f. Camo concealer in medium beige, I believe, on the Crown C467 brush once again, and I'm blending that out with the Real Techniques Expert Concealer Brush. Now I'm using the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. This primer will make sure that her makeup lasts all day, and it also helps control her oils because, like I stated, she does have oily skin. So I just put like drops all over her face, and then I'm using my finger to just spread that out. And then I'm going to go back in with that foundation brush and use that to really work the product in. I find that foundation brushes really get the primer in the skin without you having to use your fingers, and it blends it out so nicely. So I love using foundation brushes. And this brush is from an Amazon set. I got it so long ago and it's so random, but you could use whatever foundation brush you like, to be honest. And now we're gonna move on to foundation. So the foundation, I had to mix it to get her perfect shade. Y'all, I do so much mixing, especially when it comes to foundation because I'm so picky and it's hard to find the perfect foundation shade. So I use the NARS Longwear Radiant Foundation and then the Maybelline Superstay Foundation in 360, and I had to mix those two shades together to get her perfect shade and the perfect undertone. And then I take a lipstick applicator and I apply the foundation in sections because I will be so mad if I apply it all over her face and it doesn't match. So just to be safe, I apply it in a section and then blend it out. And then once I see that that's good, I start applying it in different sections all over the face. And I'm using the Y8 brush from Morphe. Y'all, this brush is a contour brush, but it works so fire for foundation because it's dense, but it's fluffy. So it really makes sure that everything is nice and blended, no streaks, no none of that. You feel me? So I'm just making sure everything is blended out, really patting that into the skin. I'm not doing too much rubbing. I really like the patting technique because it just makes everything, you know, nice and seamless and smooth and blended. So like I said, I'm just applying it in sections and just patting that in, making sure everything is nice and blended. Am I the only makeup artist that uses the back of my hand a lot? I do not like those metal plates. They are literally so annoying. I use the back of my hand a lot. My hand be looking like a whole artist palette. Like, it be looking so crazy when I'm done, but my hand looks like that so my clients could look like this, okay? Also, if you notice what I'm doing, I like to spread the foundation all over the face first, or I like to spread it in sections and then pat it into place because one, you use less product that way and you get a more even spread. And two, I don't know, I feel like that lipstick applicator just does something. Like, honestly, doing makeup is like doing what you feel is right. Like, I just feel like it works best for me. And you also notice that I have a napkin in my hand. When I'm blending out the foundation, I kind of rub off some of the product that's on the brush because sometimes if you apply too much or you're cautious that you may have applied too much, then you could like wipe off a little bit of the product so it takes off some so it doesn't look cakey. I hope that made sense. Forgive me if that didn't. But anywho, now we're moving on to highlighting. Now, I used about 3 different concealers to get her perfect highlighting shade. So what I did first is I mixed the Kevyn Aucoin SX12 skin enhancer, and I mixed a Tarte concealer with that. I believe I mixed medium beige or light. I'm not sure. I put it on the screen. I believe it was light. I mixed those two because the Kevyn Aucoin one was too dark, but I really love the consistency of that and how thick it is and how full coverage that is. I'm a full coverage queen, okay? I do not like natural looking, you know, I'm very heavy on the full coverage for me. So I mixed those two to make it a little lighter and to get her perfect shade. And I'm just applying a thin layer, but I'm spreading it evenly. So it may look like a lot, but trust me, it's not at all. And it doesn't even feel heavy. It feels very light. And I apply that to all the highlighted areas of her face, which is, you know, where the light hits her skin. So, you know, under her eyes, the bridge of her nose, her forehead, her cupid's bow. And now I believe this is medium beige or tan. It may be tan, not medium beige. I believe it's tan. And I'm just putting that on to get her proper highlighting shade because I wanted it to be a little lighter, but I was just testing the waters and taking my time because I didn't want it to be the incorrect shade. And now I'm taking a little bit, just a tiny bit of light from the Tarte Shape Tape. And like I said, y'all, I applied 3 different concealer shades, but I'm telling y'all, it does not feel heavy at all. Like, you can ask her. It doesn't feel heavy in any way, shape, or form. And the brush makes it that way because it spreads it so it looks like a lot and it makes it look full coverage, but it doesn't pick up a lot of product. So even though it may look like a lot and I used 3 different ones, I promise to God it wasn't a lot. But now we're moving on to contouring. So I'm just taking this foundation stick. This is for oily skin, and y'all, this foundation stick does not budge, y'all. And I'm using it to contour her face. This is in the shade Warm Coconut, and this is the Maybelline Superstay foundation stick, like I said. And I'm just putting that in the areas of her face that I didn't want to necessarily slim down because, as you could see, her face is snatched naturally. But I kind of wanted to use that to warm up the skin. That's why it's not so much like darker than her, but it has a nice like tan orange undertone to it that I feel like would bronze up her skin so beautifully. So I'm just going to apply that to the parts of the face that I wanted to warm up, which is kind of along the contoured line. So like her forehead, her cheek, you know what I'm saying? And then I'm going to blend that out by patting it in with my foundation brush. When I do makeup, I tend to use the same brushes a lot. 1, because I'm lazy and I don't feel like washing it out later. And 2, because I just feel like the products like really mesh together. So they kind of work in my favor of laziness. And when I say I use the same brushes a lot, I don't mean I use the same brush on each client. I mean I use the same brush within each application. So that's the same brush that I use to apply her foundation that I'm using to apply her contour and blend her contour. I don't want y'all thinking I'm dirty or unsanitary or nothing. So I had to make that very clear. But, you know, I'm just blending out the contour, and I blended that on her ears a little bit just to make sure that everything matches and is one color. And now I'm just going to blend out the highlighted areas with the original Beauty Blender, and I'm just patting that into place. And if you wondered why I let it sit, like I didn't blend it out as soon as I applied the concealer in the highlighted areas, the longer you let it sit, the more tacky it will get, and the more tacky it gets, the more full coverage it is. So I always let the concealer sit, and then I do the contour and blend out the contour, and then I blend out the concealer, just so that everything is more full coverage, because that's just how I like it. And you know, I'm just patting that in, blending that in. And if you have struggles highlighting and contouring, I have a very, very, very in-depth highlighting and contouring tutorial on my channel. So I'll leave that in the description box below, but you can honestly just go to my page and check it out. It's not that far, you know, down on my page. So yeah, I'm just blending that out, patting that out. And you know, I'm also gonna go back and forth from the Beauty Blender to the foundation brush just to make sure that there's no harsh lines and you can't tell like where the highlight starts and where the contour stops and stuff like that. Also, just a friendly reminder that makeup takes time. If you're curious about how long this look took, I believe it took like an hour and a half to do. Even though it's really, really simple, it's always the simple looks that takes so long because it's so simple. So you have to make it very neat and clean. And I'm a perfectionist. So, you know, don't worry if you're doing this for a little minute because good work takes time, okay? Well, not all the time. There's some people who are just hella talented to the point where they just knock it out in an hour, but I ain't one of those people. I gotta take my precious time. So if you find yourself doing it for a very long time, don't even sweat it. As long as the end result is fire, that's all that matters. Don't drag it to, of course, 3 hours, but you get what I'm saying. But anywho, now we're going to set under the eyes and all the highlighted areas. So I'm using the SACHA Buttercup, but this is the light one. And I'm using a very small eyeshadow brush and just applying that first, making sure to really set the areas of her face first before I bake it. And I always make sure to go under the eyes first and set that first because that creases first. I learned that from Painted by Spencer. Shout out to him or whatever. But yeah, I just set it first and then I apply some of the same powder with makeup sponge to all the highlighted areas and just a little bit under the contoured areas because I want to make sure the contour is, you know what I'm saying, nice and sharp and snatched. So yeah, I'm just taking that makeup wedge or sponge or whatever you want to call it and just putting it in the highlighted areas, putting a little bit on her chin to, you know, set that as well. And then I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit because she had oily skin, so I'm gonna allow it to bake just for a little bit though. And then I'm setting the contoured girl, I cannot talk. I'm setting the contoured areas with some bronzer from the Morphe Glamour Bronze collection in Trailblazer on a small powder brush from BH Cosmetics. And this bronzer is so fire. I have like 4 of their bronzers from that collection because it's just so good. So you guys should check that out if you haven't already. And then after I set all the contoured places, I just dust off the setting powder with the foundation brush that I used this whole time. And I do it kind of like in sections. I always go for like the forehead and then I do like the nose, the cupid's bow, underneath the contoured parts, and then the eyes because I want the eyes to really set the most. So that's why I kind of do them last. But yeah, I'm just dusting that away. The eye area is very delicate, so I tend to take like a softer brush to wipe away the powder under the eye. And that brush that I'll be using is the Real Techniques setting brush. And like I said, eye area, very delicate. So you want to use a nice fluffy brush to get rid of that. And that brush is the perfect brush to do that. So now I'm just dusting away the powder underneath the contour, and y'all see how sharp that is? Okay, sis is looking snatched. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of orange blush. I feel like orange blush looks so bomb on light skins. So that's why I use orange, and it adds a nice warmth and tan to their face. So yeah, I used the orange brush from the Juvia's Place volume 1 blush palette, and now I'm just using some highlighter from Artist Couture on this Morphe highlighting brush, and I'm just applying that to her cheeks, and as you can see, the highlight is popping. And then I'm going over that with a little bit of CLEO highlighter from Juvia's Place on the same Morphe brush, and I just put that on her cheeks and a little bit on the tip of her nose and on the bridge, a little bit on her forehead, basically all the highlighted areas. Now I'm gonna line her waterline with some black eyeliner. This is from Absolute New York, and this is a waterproof black eyeliner. This is the best stick eyeliner that I have ever come across. It is so pigmented, and it's like $4. And then I'm lining her bottom, you know, eyelid or whatever. Yeah, I don't know why my vocabulary is just off today. I was lining that with some brown eyeshadow. I put a little bit of the CLEO highlighter in her inner eye quarter for a pop. Now I'm just adding a little bit of mascara, and now we're going to move on to the lips. People are always curious about my lips, so here you guys go. So I'm taking a clean angled brush, of course, and some dark brown eyeshadow from the Juvia's Place Warrior 2 palette. It's the second color in the first row, and I'm just going to line her lips with that. And then I'm going to take this nice pretty nude lip gloss from Peaches and Cream Cosmetics, and I'm just gonna apply that with a lipstick applicator and then make her like pucker up her lips and like, you know, rub them together. And then I'm going to take the Acid Rain Blank Canvas paint from P. Louise and Mama Mitchell, and I'm just gonna put a little bit of that on her lips and then make her, you know, blend it in. I also put a little bit of clear lip gloss, but I didn't feel the need to show that. And now we're gonna move on to setting her face. So I'm just putting some rose water spray from Badescu on a beauty blender, and then I use that to like pounce it into her her skin and then blend it in, because she has on layers of makeup, so we have to get all those layers. So I like to pounce it in, and then I give one final spray with a dewy setting spray from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and this is the finished look, y'all. I hope y'all like this video. It came out so bomb. She is pretty with or without makeup, period. Like, shorty is fire. But yeah, this is how it looks. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. That was a low light, and this is how it looks in regular lighting. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Let me know what other videos you guys want to see, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.